1520 AM, 92.3 FM, and 106.5 FM WHOW, and on your easy choice for soft hits, 95.9 FM WEZC.
Noah Atkinson here. As owner of Lincoln Printers and Sign Designs in Lincoln, I know small business is important to our communities. That's why I'm pleased to be the exclusive sponsor of the WHOW WEZC Lincoln Printers Business of the Month.
Quality Glass and Trim at 220 Northeast Street in Clinton is another longtime Clinton business. They offer glass sales and service, specializing in commercial, home, and auto. Quality Glass and Trim also does storm windows, glass furniture tops, and headliners. They'll receive a $200 gift certificate good at Lincoln Printers and Sign Designs for being our WHOW WEZC Lincoln Printers Business of the Month. Nominate a business you'd like featured by emailing us at WHOW@randyradio.com.
Congratulations to this local business for all they do for the community. And don't forget, for envelopes, wedding invitations, signs, banner wraps, and more, go to LincolnPrintersInc.com.
From the Hard Media Group newsroom and DeWittDailyNews.com, this is Ben Hubbard with this expanded morning newscast. Good morning and thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Ben Hubbard. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. The state provides funding to schools each year that goes towards specific categories like transportation and special education, but those funds are getting cut this year. Clinton School Superintendent Drew Goebel explains that he and other superintendents have been informed that the state will not be funding 100% of those categoricals, although funding is not being cut entirely. He says this is a very big deal. However, it should not make a big impact on his district.
Yeah, and this happened several years ago where the state stopped funding 100% these categoricals. So a categorical, these are not federal dollars, these are state funds. And that's things like reimbursing for transportation, reimbursing for special education, for facilities, for like transporting our students to alternative facilities for special ed.
Mm-hmm.
Those are, food service. So those reimbursement dollars, I was at a meeting yesterday with the Illinois State Board of Education, Matt Seaton, who is in charge of this. And he, in a room full of superintendents, said that they are not going to fund 100% of these categoricals. Now, that is a big deal. And fortunately, the local taxes and the levy and honestly, I'll just, I've said this before, because we have a power plant and that contributes a huge portion of the revenue that the school district gets, that is very helpful. I think things like Quickwall coming to town, and that is going to increase the EAV, the property value. I think the recent announcement of the Meyer structural utility, the electrical poles that are going north of town, those things are going to increase the value of the property value of DeWitt County. And then when I file the levy, which is coming up here real soon, the tax rate for Clinton, and I've said this over and over again, is extremely low. We have a very low tax rate. But if we have industry and we have industries moving to Clinton, that's going to increase the property value of DeWitt County. We're going to apply that exact same low rate to the increase in property. And then the school district will in turn get more revenue.
Goebel indicates that taxpayers should not be worried about the school increasing their taxes. He points out that the county's wind turbines provide additional revenue to the district.
So we do have wind turbines, not like Mount Pulaski has wind turbines, right. But yeah, that is additional revenue that the school district is receiving. I do not see us raising taxes or changing that rate. And again, the state hasn't came out with what the exact reimbursement rate's going to be. So I mean, it is real. Different categories, according to Mr. Seaton, will be reimbursed at different percents. It's not going to, from what I understand, it's not going to be like a flat across all categoricals. We're doing a 20% decrease. It's
Right.
going to be transportation's going to get this much less, special ed reimbursement is going to get this little, so that, and I've talked about this, the school district doesn't just get a lump sum of money and says spend it however you want. We get money, so much money goes to this, and then you get so much money that goes to that. So there's different funds. So if they would decrease how much money we get in transportation, for example, we'd be fine because we're in better shape in transportation. But if they stop giving money for the education fund, and we've talked about this, we are not in great shape in the education fund, and we do working cash transfers every single year to account for that deficit in the ed fund. So I would have to adjust based upon what the state's going to give us in those categoricals.
GOBA reminds that this will not affect their budget this year, but they will see the lack of funds next year. Learn more about Clinton schools at CUSD15.org. While it isn't going to be the driest on record, October did finish very dry. Ed Shimon at the National Weather Service in Lincoln indicates October was a very dry month overall.
Yeah, if we look at the month so far, we're 1.75 inches below normal for October. So we're keeping that dry theme going. It doesn't look like we're really going to finish out the month even close to. So it's not the driest on record, but it's when you're looking at the entire month of 1.75 inches starting off so dry that we're going to see the drought conditions continue all the way into the late fall, probably even early winter. Just not seeing any signals for a lot of precipitation, looking forward here either. So, yeah, there was some rain on the 7th, and then nothing really of significance till the 18th, 19th, where we had just about a little over an inch there. But after that, it was trace. A couple of traces, and then nothing. So, really, just 2 rain events this month, which is not enough. Starting out so dry.
Most of October was rather pleasant thanks to plenty of sunshine throughout the month.
Yeah, we've had 16 where we have the scale is only 3/10 of the sky or less. 16 days have triggered the sunny category. Partly cloudy is 9. So 25 of the days of the month really have been a lot more sunshine than not. So
that's pretty good.
We're at 28.
That's pretty
so
good.
It's been. You're right. Yeah, the days of rain are the only ones that really had a significant cloud cover for the most part. So looking at the fall, there's more clouds more frequently. It seems like in the past, but yeah, that's unusual to have that many sunny days in October.
As we get into November, we'll have more with Shimon later this week on the traditional winter months outlook. Visit weather.gov/Lincoln for more info on weather data and forecasts. Get news anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Good health starts with knowing where you stand. At SIU Center for Family Medicine in Lincoln, your annual wellness appointment is more than a checkup. It's your chance to talk with your doctor, set goals, and catch health concerns early. Our team is here to keep you moving forward every step of the way. Book your annual appointment today by clicking their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com. SIU Medicine. Better health for all. Forward for you.
Why drive 30 miles for work when great manufacturing jobs are right here in Clinton? Techniplex Consumer Products, formerly Action Technology, is hiring. We're a leader in plastic extrusion, and we're growing fast. Now hiring entry-level and operator process technician positions. Start at $18.25 an hour with a $1 increase after 90 days. And shift differentials for second and third shifts. Experienced operators start at $20.25 an hour or more. Full-time benefits, 8 paid holidays, 401k, and PTO. Apply now at techniplex.com/careers or call 217-935-8311. Techniplex. Grow your future right here at home.
The WHOW Morning Show is now video streamed live on the WHOW WEZC DeWittDailyNews.com Facebook page and on the new WHOW TV YouTube channel. Watch morning show host Seth Lawrence interview guests live, as well as watch archived video podcasts of any interview you missed. Whether on Facebook or YouTube, we're providing 2 more ways that Central Illinois' local news station, WHOW, delivers compelling content for you.
At SIU Center for Family Medicine in Lincoln, our team makes it easy to get your flu shot and protect the people you care about most. Book your appointment now by clicking the SIU Family Medicine icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police splatter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
From the Hart Media Group Sports Desk, IL Sportswire, and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this local sports report. In a game heard on WEZC and online at DeWittDailyNews.com, Monticello overcame 2 early turnovers and scored 34 unanswered points to bounce Paris 48-16 in the first round of the Class 3A high school football playoffs in Monticello Saturday afternoon. Nolan Benny-Kemper had his first pass of the game and the game's second play from scrimmage intercepted and returned to the 11-yard line by Dawson Rogers. Carter Cripps took the Tigers' first play from scrimmage in for a touchdown, and Paris went up 8-0. Benny-Kemper then had his third pass of the game on the next series picked off. However, the Sages defense forced a turnover on downs in 4 plays. Monticello answered when Benny-Kemper knifed through the Paris defense like a Ferrari in Chicago traffic and made it 8-7 on an 18-yard touchdown run. After the Sages defense held Paris again, Maddox Utley scored from a yard out to put Monticello in front for good. A 56-yard wide receiver screen to Young set up Utley's score. On a double reverse flea flicker in the second quarter, Benny-Kemper found Hayden Romano from 44 yards out to put the Sages in front 20-8. Monticello then started the second half with back-to-back scores when Utley scored on an 11-yard run, his second touchdown of the game, to make it 27-8 with 8:06 left in the third. Benny-Kemper found Braden Wood in the corner of the end zone for a touchdown at the 4-minute mark of the third quarter to extend the Sages' lead to 34-8. After Paris got a touchdown in the fourth quarter to get within 34-16, Benny-Kemper scored from 37 yards out to answer the score and put the Sages in front 41-16. The Sages concluded when Forrest Rodden scored on a 31-yard run to make it 48-16. Benny-Kemper finished 8 of 17 passing for 226 yards with 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. He also ran it for 85 yards on 15 carries and 2 touchdowns. Utley had 70 yards on 8 carries. He was the State Bank of Bement player of the game. Zeke Young went over 100 yards with 141 yards on 4 catches. Romano had 2 catches for 52 yards with a touchdown. Paris ends the season 6-4 overall. Monticello moves to 8-2 overall and will travel to Tolono Unity for second-round action next Saturday. Hear all the action on 95.9 FM WEZC and online at DeWittDailyNews.com. Caleb Williams was prepared to lead a game-winning drive to beat the Cincinnati Bengals. Not only did Coach Ben Johnson warn against being surprised if the Bengals were able to rally from double digits, the second-year QB knew that posting a come-from-behind win in a shootout was one of a few things this year's Chicago Bears had not accomplished. Williams connected with Colston Loveland for a 58-yard touchdown with 17 seconds left to give the Bears a 47-42 victory on Sunday in a wild game that featured 3 touchdowns in the last 2 minutes and 2 lead changes in the final minute. Joe Flacco put the Bengals ahead 42-41 when he threw a 9-yard touchdown pass to Andre Lozivas with 54 seconds remaining, setting the stage for Williams. Chicago took over on its own 28 with 50 seconds left. After a pair of incomplete passes, Williams scrambled around the right end for a 14-yard gain. On a first down with 25 seconds left, Williams found Loveland down the middle. The rookie tight end caught it at the Bengals 36, bounced off Cincinnati defensive backs Jordan Battle and Geno Stone, and ran to the end zone. Loveland, who had 6 catches for 118 yards and 2 touchdowns, said he was surprised he was still upright after the hits by Battle and Stone, and he knew he needed to score if possible. Williams also had 53 rushing yards and became the first starting QB in nearly 82 years with multiple receptions in a game. He caught a touchdown pass from DJ Moore on a trick play for the first score of the Bears and hauled in a 20-yard pass from the backup quarterback Tyson Bagent in the fourth quarter. It's the first time since October 19, 2008 against Minnesota that Chicago has won when both teams have scored at least 40 points. Flacco threw for a career-high 470 yards in the second straight excruciating loss for Cincinnati, which had not scored 40 points or more in defeat since falling 51-45 at Cleveland on September 16, 2007. Following last Sunday's 39-38 loss to the New York Jets, it was the sixth time dating to last season the Bengals have scored at least 30 points without winning. The Bears appeared to be in good shape after Moore's 16-yard touchdown run made it 41-27 with just about 5 minutes left. Flacco was intercepted by Chicago's Tremaine Edmonds on the Bengals' next possession, but the Bears went 3 and out, and the 18-year veteran led a scoring drive that took just 32 seconds. Flacco found Noah Fant for a 22-yard touchdown with 1:43 left, and Higgins caught the 2-point conversion pass to get the Bengals within 41-35. Joseph Asay recovered the ensuing onside kick after it went off the leg of Chicago's Daniel Hardy to keep Cincinnati's hopes alive. The Bengals took just 49 seconds to take the lead on Flacco's strive to Lascivas. Rookie Kyle Monangai rushed for 176 yards on 26 carries as the Bears piled up 576 yards of offense against the Bengals squad that came in ranked last in total defense. Monangai, a seventh-round draft pick, got the start with DeAndre Swift sidelined due to a groin injury. Monangai finished with a 6.8-yard average and already had 100 yards on 16 carries at halftime. Chicago rushed for a season-high 283 yards and averaged 7.6 yards on the ground. Britton Brown, called up from the practice squad for the game, had a 22-yard touchdown run late in the third quarter to put the Bears up 31-27. Rico Dowdle made one mistake on an otherwise splendid afternoon. Dowdle and Carolina Panthers kicker Ryan Fitzgerald made sure it didn't prove costly. Dowdle rushed for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns, and his big run in the final minute set up Fitzgerald's last-second 49-yard field goal as Carolina beat Green Bay 16-13 on Sunday to climb above 500 and snap the Green Bay Packers' 3-game win streak. It was the second time this season that Fitzgerald, a rookie from Florida State, has made a game-winning field goal as time expired. He hit a 33-yarder in the Panthers' 30-27 triumph over Dallas on October 12th. The loss could prove costly for Green Bay. The Packers' star tight end Tucker Kraft was carted off the field with a knee injury in the third quarter. Carolina, a 2-touchdown underdog according to BetMGM Sportsbook, bounced back from a 40-9 home loss to Buffalo. Fitzgerald and Dowdle both had to redeem themselves from setbacks earlier in the game. Dowdle's second touchdown of the day gave the Panthers a 13-6 lead late in the third quarter. He celebrated that score by thrusting his hips twice, an homage to the Key and Peele sketch, and was called for unsportsmanlike conduct. Fitzgerald's ensuing 48-yard extra point attempt into a swirling wind was well short, keeping Carolina's lead at 13-6. So when Green Bay's Josh Jacobs scored from 1 yard out on 3rd and goal with 2:32 left, the Packers didn't need to go for 2 and tied the game on Brandon McManus's extra point. After Carolina got the ball back, Dowdle's 19-yard carry on 2nd and 10 from midfield set up Fitzgerald's kick. Panthers coach David Canales said this past week that Dowdle would get the bulk of the carries after splitting time with Chuba Hubbard. Running behind an injury-riddled offensive line, Dowdle delivered against a Green Bay team ranked 3rd in NFL in rushing defense. That wasn't Canales' only pregame move that paid off. The Panthers usually defer when they win the coin toss, but they took the ball first. As a result, Fitzgerald's game-winning kick was much easier than the jumbo-sized extra point attempt he missed in the third period. Green Bay had itself to blame for the loss. Kyle Larson knew he wasn't going to catch Denny Hamlin in the final laps on Sunday, not without the sort of help that only a caution flag can bring. Larson got his lucky break. Hamlin only got heartbreak. Larson is now a 2-time NASCAR champion after denying Hamlin what would have been his first career title when a late caution at Phoenix Raceway sent the championship deciding finale into overtime. Without that caution, which came with 3 laps to run, Hamlin had it locked up and was ready to finally shed the label of greatest NASCAR driver to never win a championship. But fellow title contender William Byron got a flat tire and hit the wall to bring out the caution, and a few minutes later it was over. When the caution for Byron came out, Hamlin led the field down pit road and got 4 new tires on his Toyota. Larson only took 2 tires on his Chevrolet. It meant Larson was 5th for the 2-lap sprint to the finish, with Hamlin back in 10th. It's a second championship for Larson, who won his first title in 2021 when he joined Hendrick Motorsports. It's the 15th Cup title for the organization and came on the 30th anniversary of Jeff Gordon giving Hendrick its first championship in 1995. See highlights of your local high school sports programs by finding IL SportsWire on your preferred social media platform, and get local sports anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Finding a local job in Central Illinois has never been easier. Don't waste time driving far or spending too much on gas. Visit IllinoisJobPost.com. It's your one-stop site to find local, full-time, and part-time job openings. Best of all, it's completely free for job seekers to access anytime, day or night. So if you're ready to land a job close to home, make IllinoisJobPost.com your first stop. That's IllinoisJobPost.com. Brought to you by your friends at the regional radio station.
Experience the power of better connection with Connexus Fiber Internet. Connexus delivers ultra-fast, reliable speeds to keep you connected at the speed of life. Whether you're working from home, streaming your favorite shows, or gaming with your friends, Connexus has you covered. Say goodbye to buffering and dropped calls and say hello to fiber fast internet. Ready to upgrade your connection? Sign up today by clicking the Connexus icon at DeWittDailyNews.com. Nothing connects us like Connexus.
Here's Clinton Civil Out owner Dave Jackson on how he monitors prices to help you save money.
I look and see what retail they are at, and I make that decision whether it is a key item or a mid-tier item as far as importance goes, and I make sure I'm either below or close. And in most cases, I try to go below.
Dave and his staff helps you save up to 40% on your grocery bill every day at your locally owned Clinton Save-A-Lot. And as Dave always says,
hope to see you soon.
Closeout time is here for a new Chevrolet. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Farmer City. Yes, we have a good selection of 25 Silverados remaining in regular and crew cab models with gas or diesel engines. Some with utility beds and dual roof wheels. Also see our remaining Colorados, Trailblazers, even our full-size Suburban and Tahoes, all priced to move out. See our 25 inventory today at BaumChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. At 34 days, the government shutdown is on the verge of becoming the longest ever. It runs into tomorrow, and at this point it looks like it will. This will be the longest shutdown on record. Food aid for millions is at risk, and airline passengers are feeling the pinch as some air traffic controllers are not getting paid. Stage a sick out. British police say a man faces attempted murder and other charges following a stabbing attack on a train. It wounded 11 people. A railway worker who tried to stop the attack is now in the hospital with life-threatening wounds. Israel says the latest remains of 3 hostages returned from Gaza are soldiers who were killed in the October 2023 Hamas attack. A parade in downtown Los Angeles today for the World Series champion Dodgers. More details at srnnews.com.
From the Hard Media Group newsroom and DeWittDailyNews.com, this is Ben Hubbard with this local news update. The state provides funding to schools each year that goes towards specific categories like transportation and special ed, but those funds are getting cut this year. Clinton School Superintendent Drew Goebel explains that he and other superintendents have been informed that the state will not be funding 100% of those categoricals, although funding is not being cut entirely. He says this is a very big deal. However, it should not make a big impact on his district.
Yeah, and this happened several years ago where the state stopped funding 100% these categoricals. So a categorical, these are not federal dollars, these are state funds. And that's things like reimbursing for transportation, reimbursing for special education, for facilities, for like transporting our students to alternative facilities for special ed.
Mm-hmm.
So So those are, food service. So those reimbursement dollars, I was at a meeting yesterday with the Illinois State Board of Education, Matt Seaton, who is in charge of this. And he, in a room full of superintendents, said that they are not going to fund 100% of these categoricals. Now, that is a big deal. And fortunately, the local taxes and the levy and honestly, I'll just, I've said this before, because we have a power plant and that contributes a huge portion of the revenue that the school district gets, that is very helpful. I think things like Quickwall coming to town, and that is going to increase the EAV, the property value. I think the recent announcement of the Meyer Structural Utility, the electrical poles that are going north of town, those things are going to increase the value of the property value of DeWitt County. And then when I file the levy, which is coming up here real soon, the tax rate for Clinton, and I've said this over and over again, is extremely low. We have a very low tax rate. But if we have industry and we have industries moving to Clinton, that's going to increase the property value of DeWitt County. We're going to apply that exact same low rate to the increase in property. And then the school district will in turn get more revenue.
Goebel indicates that taxpayers should not be worried about the school increasing their taxes. He points out that the county's wind turbines also provide additional revenue to the district. Goebel reminds that this will not affect their budget this year, but they will see the lack of funds next year. Learn more about Clinton schools at CUSD15.org. Get news anytime from DeWitt County's #1 source for news, sports, police blotter, obituaries, and more. It's DeWittDailyNews.com.
Shane Steinberg here from Highway 51 Exchange, your equipment rental headquarters, south of Clinton on US 51. Check our banner ad on DeWittDailyNews.com to book online today and pick up tomorrow. Highway 51 Exchange.
Longview Community Bank is now open in Clinton, investing in rural Illinois. I'm Vice President Nate Sams. Stop by for a visit or to find out how we provide real local banking. Click our banner ad at the top of the local news page on DeWittDailyNews.com.
We're talking right now with Kylie Nodine, Field Marketing Manager with Corteva. Kylie, how can growers save on Corteva seed brands and crop protection products through the True Choice offer?
So our True Choice offer provides farmers with two options for participation. Through True Choice Prepay, regardless of the seed brand, if a farmer funds a prepay account with a minimum of $5,000, they can save up to 10% on their Corteva crop protection products when funding an account using cash, or receive 0% financing when funded through an approved loan. We also have True Choice Financing. Corteva AgriScience is offering flexible grower financing solutions for crop protection, Pioneer brand products, Brevant seeds, and our Phytogen cottonseed.
When can growers sign up for the True Choice offer?
They can sign up right now all the way through February 27th of 2026 and start saving.
Where can growers go to get more information?
Growers can talk with their Pioneer sales representatives, Brevant retailer, or crop protection retailer, or they can also visit corteva.us/True Choice. That's TRUCHOICE.
You're listening to a best of segment of the WHOW Morning Show, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Again, this is a best of the WHOW Morning Show.
Your friend in Central Illinois. WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest on the Zoom today is Andrea Coker. She's Director of Services at Willow Tree Missions in Piatt County. Good to see you as always, Andrea. How are you today?
I'm really good, Seth. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. Thanks for making time for us as always. And Andrea, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Now, for you and I, when we catch up on the monthly, it's always Domestic Violence Awareness Month. But we focus in as a society a little closer to this topic in October. And I'll tell you what, we're going to just kind of dive into just some basics about domestic violence. Let's just go back to the drawing board. What do we know about this topic, and maybe some of the data points around it?
Yeah. So yeah, we are really fortunate here in Central Illinois that we have the support of you guys to let us kind of advocate and spread the word about domestic violence all year. But this time of year for domestic violence professionals is a really concentrated effort to try and make people aware of services that are available in case people don't know. But also really to honor people who have been in a domestic violence situation and are getting out or have gotten out, or help empower people who feel like maybe it's time for them too, as well as to celebrate the lives of those who didn't make it out, because that's just the reality of what we do. Sometimes not everybody does make it to the other side, and our goal, of course, is to make sure that that ends and that stops. So yeah, that's kind of our charge. This year's kind of mission of it is, I really like the wording of it. It's everybody always, because everybody deserves to be listened and heard, and everybody deserves to have a safe relationship and a safe place and feel safe at home. So we've kind of taken it pretty seriously here at Willow Tree this year and every year, to try and help educate the public a little bit further. Unfortunately, statistics still stand. It's still 1 in 3 women and 1 in 7 men will experience intimate partner violence in their lifetime. I'm really hopeful that those numbers decrease at some point, but this year they stand fast at 1 in 3 and 1 in 7.
Sure. When it comes to, Andrea, domestic violence and some of the just like the data points in terms of like what it looks like, I think a lot of people, and I was this way for the longest time, I heard domestic violence and the emphasis went to the violence, right? I mean, the physical nature of it, the abuser physically hurting and harming their victim. But it's more than that. Tell us about, just what domestic violence, domestic abuse looks like.
Yeah, so I think it's important to note too, Seth, that you're not alone in thinking that it's just physical. It's a really big misconception. Even so much with my current client load, or my people that I work with all the time. Whenever they get in touch with me, they'll say, well, I don't really know if I should be calling you because my relationship's never been violent or it's not physical. So I think that maybe you're for other people, when that just isn't the reality at all. Our goal is to get someone out of their domestic violence situation before it ever gets to that point. The reality is oftentimes they do. Domestic violence always escalates. It always gets worse. We know that, but our goal is to intervene before that. But the reality is that domestic violence actually includes emotional and psychological abuse. Every single victim of domestic violence experiences emotional and psychological abuse, as well as other things that can be included, though, or that other victims experience are sexual abuse, financial, and kind of a new thing on the scene. It's not new to any of us, but that's really gaining traction as far as education pieces go, is digital, or use of the internet, or forms of stalking and tracking and things like that is becoming so common. It's slowly developing its own category within the domestic violence realm, because people are experiencing digital abuse exclusively instead of, or with psychological and emotional almost always. But
wow.
But it's becoming so common and so popular that it's really gaining traction of becoming its own individual category of a reason that someone's in a DV relationship.
So when it comes to the digital piece, Andrea, I am really curious. Is it like social media based? Is it I don't know. Is it are they in a relationship, but like it's maybe a texting thing, and when they're together and they're in person, it's fine, but like there's abuse via that. Well, I guess break that down a little further for us. What does that look like?
Sure, all of that, Seth. So kind of a conception of our whole world right now is that as long as people know where you are, then you're safe. Like there's an overlying like community-based feeling about that. As an example, families are really big into apps like Life 360. Great. Whenever you have kids and you know that you can kind of keep tabs on your kiddo in a world that isn't what it was 40 years ago. And so there's this conception that is helping provide some level of safety. And a lot of times it is. Unfortunately, people who are abusive or are in controlling or abusive relationships in the name of safety, I would like us to use that app, but the reality is it's not being used for what it was intended. It's being used as a control method of knowing that your partner is always watching. They know your every move, your patterns, your behaviors. They know which direction you drive to work, which path you take, your common. It's sensitive enough to know, or oftentimes they're sophisticated enough for them to even know like what rooms you go to on your lunch hour. So what is intended as a really well-meaning tool can very easily be flipped into a control piece, a major control piece. And that's just one example of the digital world being used. Others are, of course, social media. People who are obsessed or who are controlling in nature take a simple social media photo posted by their partner and can turn it into so much more, as well as monitoring their activities with other people and things that they like and dislike and using them against them, as well as email and breaking into those systems. So there's just no sense of security, and even down to cell phone world. If your partner is the person who controls your cell phone, they can gain access to everything you do, everything, every conversation you have, every text message you send, every piece of information that you have. They ultimately are granted the rights to look into that further, however they see fit.
Sure. Andrea Coker, Director of Services at Willow Tree Missions, our guest on the Zoom today. October, of course, is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, Andrea. And, for a lot of people, again, we kind of go back to just addressing the stigmas around domestic abuse and the relationships between abuser and victim. And, while, again, we discuss the physical abuse side of it, then it becomes, for a lot of people, then the statement is, or the thought process is, well, why don't they just leave? And you've hammered this home with us many a time, but remind us, why are these victims keeping themselves in these circumstances?
Absolutely. The reason that they don't just leave is because they can't. So domestic violence is rooted in power and control. An abusive person very intentionally gains power and control over their partner. There's this really big misconception that people who are abusive are violent or have anger management issues. And if they would just get help for their anger management, like the whole world would be a better place. When in reality, abusive people have extreme anger management. They're fantastic at anger management. They can take every situation of their entire day and bring it home and pinpoint that anger at just their victim. Everyone else in their life often believes that they are these lovely, charismatic people with great personalities. I mean, they won their victim over because they can sell themselves. So they can do that with other people as well. It's not like prescribing or giving someone the opportunity to get anger management doesn't make the situation better for victims. It oftentimes makes it worse because they learn even more tools of how to hone in that anger when they're not usually angry people. They are power hungry. They're controlling. They may be angry in their verts of abuse. However, they don't have anger management issues. So victims often stay in relationships because they know that their abuser can pinpoint that situation directly at them, and they're truly afraid of what could happen to them.
Sure.
And there's a lot of reasons that people are afraid, but a big one is they're just rooted in fear of the unknown, of what would happen if I tried.
Right. Well, and you hit on this a bit earlier in the discussion when you were talking about the digital piece. If your abuser controls your cell phone, many times, I'm sure you see this often, is the abuser has control of things like finances, vehicles, like you said, cell phones. They may have so much control, they may not let their abuser even work. How about that?
Oftentimes, yeah. So people are oftentimes feel stuck in their relationships for like everything that you said. It can be financial reasons, every relationship's different. So it can be on so many different scopes. It could be financial because the abused person is the financial resource for the family. And so they have a fear of leaving their partner financially unstable. It could be that they're making the money but don't have control over the money. It also could be that because they are the breadwinner, all of their resources are in their name. And while they likely have the capacity to handle all of that debt or accumulated debt and assets that they didn't necessarily want, there's a big fear of having to handle all of that on your own. There's also abusive people who intentionally put things into their partner's name to make sure that they can't afford it, so that they are stuck, or so that they can ruin them and make them feel like they can't go anywhere at all. Financial is such a big piece. And then the reality that oftentimes victims do not have access to finances at all. So when they leave, it's with nothing, and they have access to nothing. And so there's a huge fear. Can you even imagine not knowing if you can even afford to feed your family the night that you would leave? It'd be enough to make most people stay.
Speak to how children impact a victim's decision-making process.
Sure. Some people will stay in a relationship because of their children. There's a misconception in our country that, and it's very well preached, that two parents are better than one. And if you are in an abusive relationship, you're still hearing the outside world say, but two parents is better than one. There's more opportunity and long-term benefits to people being in a two-parent household. While I'm confident there are statistics that will show that that's true, there are also statistics that show no, that is not the case for every relationship. So we know that kids who grow up in abusive relationships are more likely to have experienced generalized trauma and anxiety. Also, it's being linked to long-term health challenges as the world continues to advance. There's a lot of information coming in about long-term health problems because children's needs essentially weren't met, and living your life in a fight or flight mentality at a young age can really curb your general development for so many different things. It also just becomes more likely that you the child are going to end up in a domestic violence relationship or be a perpetrator yourself, because that you've now learned that this is what love looks like. It can be unlearned. We can intervene and hopefully provide some education to prevent that. But if this is what home looks like, this is what you think love looks like.
And that's where the cyclical nature of it comes in. I'm sure the generational piece of it comes in. Yeah,
absolutely.
Very good. Well, on that note, Andrea, let's break here. Best way for folks to get a hold of you and the folks there at Willow Tree Missions to have their concerns heard and any help that you can provide them. How about that?
Sure. You can find us online at willowtreemissions.org or reach me by phone or text at 217-762-2350.
Very good. Again, Andrea Coker, Director of Services at Willow Tree Missions in Piatt County, our guest on the Zoom. More to come with Andrea on the morning show.
WHOW.
Let's check the opening numbers now at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Monday. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network. Corn starting the day steady, beans higher, and wheat slightly higher. December corn opening 4.30 down a penny. March corn down half a penny, 4.43 May corn 4.52 unchanged. November beans 11.06 up 6.5. January beans up 3, 11.18 March beans 11.25 up 2 pennies. December wheat 5.37 up 3. March wheat 5.51 up 3.25. May wheat starting today 5.60 up 3 pennies. December bean meal 3.19.90, that's down to $1.70. And December bean oil 48.53, down 15 cents. Opening numbers on this Monday morning. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network.
Closeout time is here for a new Chevrolet. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Farmer City. Yes, we have a good selection of 25 Silverados remaining in regular and crew cab models with gas or diesel engines. Some with utility beds and dual roof wheels. Also see our remaining Colorados, Trailblazers, even our full-size Suburban and Tahoes, all priced to move out. See our 25 inventory today at bombchevybuick.com, right from the start.
You're listening to a best of segment of the WHOW Morning Show, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Again, this is a best of the WHOW Morning Show.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Again, my guest on the Zoom today is Andrea Coker, Director of Services at Willow Tree Missions. And, you know, Andrea, you mentioned part of the conversation for Domestic Violence Awareness Month here in October is, you know, celebrating those people that have been able to get out of their circumstances and the abusive relationships they were in. But I'm sure that journey to that place was not easy. Let's speak to what we know about victims when they try to leave. I know for many, it takes many tries. You know, why that is. What do we know about a victim when they decide they've had enough and they want to be rid of the situation they're in? Speak to that.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, that statistic hasn't changed yet either. So it's still nationally taking people about nine times to finally truly break free of their abuser. There's another piece. Whenever somebody calls Willow Tree for the first time, we know that the likelihood is that they're going to return to their partner. I know that people get nervous to call us back the second time because they feel a little bit of shame in the fact that they returned. So we're really concentrating on letting people know that we're still a safe space to call. Whenever our phone rings again, we don't think, oh, great, they're calling back. We are truly excited and sometimes have literally cheered whenever somebody calls for a second time, because we know that they're just one step closer to truly getting out of their situation and being safe. We also know that every time someone leaves the one time, they gain a little bit more confidence and a little bit of self-assurance, and they spread their safety net a little bit more so that if they do go back, but they leave the next time, they're already stepping stones ahead of where they were at whenever they left the first time or the second time. But the reality is victims are not safe whenever they leave their relationship.
Why is that?
Leaving a domestic violence relationship is not only is it scary, but it is truly dangerous. So an abusive person has had power over their victim. They have controlled their life. It has benefited the abuser significantly, and the abuser has worked really, really hard